We are now live on the interwebs.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And according to this, there is literally no one watching us. So now that we got the audio and all that kind of crap all figured out.
12
Ash,
years later.
hey, come on, cut me a break. I'm old and stupid and not tech savvy like all you young whippersnappers.
Yeah, I hit a button.
Yeah, you hit a button. I'm like fighting with 8 miles of wire and shit and microphones and mixers and crap. And I should have just went to the laptop. I should have just went to the laptop and hit record. Anyway, and also I'm all sorts of fat and out of shape now. So like I guarantee when I go back to watch this, all I'm gonna hear is back when I was really fat and I made movies, the camera itself has a mic on it, right? And you don't use that mic for the sound, but you do use it to like sync your sound. You've got like your actual sound going through a good mic and audio recorder, all that kind of stuff, right? So the camera audio though, as I would like listen to it, and I'm like the fat guy standing behind the camera. Seriously, that's what I heard the whole time was, and I'm like, I'm gonna die at any moment. Like just keel the fuck over. Um. Anyway, let's talk about. We're not going to talk about. There was a Marvel movie just recently released.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
It was kind of under the radar. Everyone and their mother is talking about it, or they have talked about it. Literally, like my YouTube subscription feed is just full of everyone talking about Infinity War, and then talking about other people talking about Infinity War, and it's ridiculous. So we're not going to talk about Infinity War yet. Maybe we'll save that for Sunday and try to do like an actual broadcast on the Nerd Riot channel, which I may download this broadcast that we're doing right now and re-upload it to the Nerd Riot channel, just so we have something on there. I think you can do that. Maybe not. We're going to find out. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you, Ash, was what was on your poll week this week? Poll week? What was in your poll week? What was on your buckwheat?
What did I sell my soul to Tea House for this week? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. What did you trade your pound of flesh for at Tea House this week, and that you've read so far?
Nothing that I've read so far, because I was a couple weeks behind on reading other stuff, but I did pick up Avengers #1 from Marvel's relaunch, Snagglepuss, and the variant, which I very, very, very much like. Rogan Gambit 5 and Curse of Brimstone #2.
You know, it's funny that you brought the Snagglepuss variant covers. Did you get both covers?
Yes, I did. I didn't even ask her to start setting this aside for me, and she did. So it's like, okay, well, I'll buy it eventually anyway. Might as well.
Those are so good. Both of those covers. Which was your favorite? The one where he was at the desk giving testimony, or the one with the shadow of the noose behind him?
Oh, definitely the one where he's at the desk giving the testimony. And I really like what they've started to do with the variant covers. So they don't have the title all big.
And just, do we have a... Oh, here's a small screenshot.
Or, I've got it sitting right here.
You can pull it up there. Where we've got... I can share my screen. Oh my God, I'm about to mess with the microphone. Cancel. Screen share. Don't. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine? Okay, so I'm going to share my other screen here. And here you can see this is the standard cover, where you see Snagglepuss with the noose behind him. And now let's see if we can find the variant cover, which I think they only had a very small thumbnail on with... Oh, here we go. There's a nice image there. I wish that they still had like the just view image to where you just pull up the image itself.
Yeah, that was not a pleasant change. This one right here.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Let's. It says screen sharing. I realized I didn't say present to everyone. So I wonder if this is actually even recording. But either way. So how far behind are you on Snagglepuss?
I'm actually caught up on Snagglepuss except for this week's issue.
This week's issue gets pretty fucking dark.
Well, based on the regular cover with the noose behind them, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say anymore because I really don't want to spoil it for you or for anyone else. Even though this is a show where we talk about comics, right, including the current comics, I still can't talk about it because you didn't fucking read the comic, Ash. Thank you. You're just ruining
You didn't give me enough time. I was reading. You saw my list. I pulled everything out, and I was sitting there reading stuff, and then all of a sudden, hey, are you ready? I guess so.
I like your response to that too. That made me laugh. Batman, drugs,
Volatile chemicals.
it's so I wish that you would read Batman. Tom King's Batman is fantastic. Did you read the DC Nation #0?
That is in the stack.
I'm telling you, just the first story. I know it, I want to like Superman. It'd be fun to get into like another DC title or something, but I just can't. I'm not big into superheroes to begin with, and fucking Superman's just so boring. And at first I thought it was going to be funny. This story, Superman, Office Space. I was picturing, I don't know, like what Clark Kent has to do in the office, like the normal office politics bullshit that Superman has to deal with. You know, that's what I was expecting, and I was like, oh, this is going to be funny. No, there's nothing funny about it. It was, I couldn't follow along. And I guess like it addresses all these other things and it like just sets it up for some future story. To be fair, the Tom King story in there regarding Batman also ties into the current storyline with Batman, but you can read it very much as a standalone and not be lost with anything. The only thing you need to know is that Batman's getting married. That's it. And they tell you Batman's getting married. And the premise of the story is the Joker breaks into this guy's house and takes him hostage. And they're waiting for the mail to come. And the guy is like, why me? Why here? Why would they're waiting for the mail to come because the Joker expects an invitation to the wedding. And the guy's like, why would Batman send an invitation here to my house, right? And the Joker's like, well, he's got to send invitations at some time, and he's got to send them somewhere, and this is sometime, and this is somewhere. And the guy is just the whole time, he's like, I'm gonna die. This guy's gonna murder me. And then the Joker tells jokes and does all this other stuff to like fuck with him. And what were some of the jokes? I actually told some of the jokes today at work. He tells the guy, I never learned the entire alphabet. I don't know why.
Oh, that's bad.
Right. And he's like, hey, did you ever hear the joke about the letter that got mailed without a stamp? You won't get it.
It's terrible.
Yes. They're awful. And the guy's reaction and the Tom King is just one of my favorite comic book writers out there. I don't know if I would be a Batman fan if it wasn't for Tom King. I like some individual Batman stories. I like the Tom Nolan Batman movies. Tom Nolan? Not Tom Nolan. Christopher Nolan. Thanks for correcting me. I love the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I loved Year One and Killing Joke. But other than that, there's not a lot of Batman that I like, except for Tom King's series. From like issue 1 through what were they on now? Like 46. I've loved it. I love his writing. I love the story. I love the characters.
Don't you have a lot of Batman on your pull list?
No, literally just Batman. Oh, I've also got like Batman White Knights, which is like a 6-part story Batman. But I think I don't know. I'd have to actually like sit down and read it. I'm not reading it. I'm collecting it until the story runs out. I think it's like 8 issues, I think, and then I'm going to go back and read it. And I think that's it. I think that's the only other Batman on my list, other than what's that? The Dark Universe, Dark Metal. That's what it is.
Dark Knight's Metal?
Yeah, like that one. They put out like 18 different Batman covers and shit like that just to follow the story. So I bought all those, but not because of Batman, just because I wanted to, follow that whole story thing.
Well, I'll have Batman on my list whenever they decide what this Demigods thing is.
What is the Demigods? What is that thing that you sent me there that says continued in Batman?
The terrible Deadman miniseries ended on a cliffhanger that says it's going to be continued in not Dark Knight's Batman, Demigods. What did it say? Demigods War, whatever that means. Apparently, it's a just announced thing that there's no timeline for.
I have no idea what any of the words you just said mean. You know what we ought to do for this channel? We ought to start reading some of the same comics and then discussing them.
Well,
just throwing it out there. I'm reading Sandman, right?
Yeah.
Which I love. I'm on. Did I finish? Oh yeah, I finished book 2. So I need to get book 3. Which I think I might go to Second and Charles or find like a used bookstore to pick them up, because it turns out there's like a ton of them. And
that's what I tried to warn you. I've been getting, because I read them, but I didn't have them. So I've been buying them slowly, and I've been using Bookfinder, which searches all the used book sites and finds you the cheapest one.
I'm actually pulling that up right now as we speak. So when we get off of here, I can go in there and like look for them.
You'll just have to read, because like, here's my Hawkeye. It was an X-Library edition, so it tells you if it's X-Library. But I've picked up, I think, all of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye for, I didn't pay more than $5 a volume for those.
Oh, that's awesome. Of course, with that, I bought all the individual issues because I have to have all the individual issues of everything. I feel weird if I just have like the trade paperbacks, but I know it's going to be really expensive to get all the trade paperbacks. Excuse me, all the individual issues for all the trade paperbacks that I have. Like Why the Last Man is like crazy expensive, and then Saga. I still need to get Saga #1. I really
just need to bite the bullet on that.
I know. Once I pay down some other stuff, then I will. Although, I bought that the Saga the Lion Cat, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive edition of the Will and Lion Cat. And then I took them out of the box and was playing with them. I broke the lance.
Already?
No, I'm kidding. I didn't take it out of the box. Are you insane? Can you imagine? Yes, each comic book store
gets that for so long.
So since I don't think there's anything that we're both reading that we can discuss there, and trying to think of like
nothing going out currently, but I did have you read I Hate Fairyland.
Yes, I did read volume 1. I have volume 2 sitting on my nightstand next to my bed behind me here, which I need to just sit down and read. And I might do that tonight, actually, start reading that. Because I think I'm pretty much caught up on everything else. I'm trying to think. Oh, what I was going to ask you was, Free Comic Book Day is this Saturday.
Yes.
What are you planning on snagging on Free Comic Book Day? What looks good to Ash?
Um, Bob's Burgers,
Yes.
The Avengers, Spider-Man, Legend of Korra. I think the Invader Zim one. I think there may have been one or two more. I'll just see what strikes my fancy on Saturday, I suppose, as I sell my soul. But
Luckily they're free.
yeah,
Did you
but
see Miraculous?
oh yeah, Miraculous. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Hmm. You know, one of my favorite comic book reviewers is Glenn Weldon with NPR, and he puts out his recommendations every year for Free Comic Book Day. They actually do a special episode of Pop Culture Happy Hour, if you ever listen to that podcast. And he talks about Free Comic Book Day and what he recommends. And he broke it down to all ages appropriate recommendations, teen recommendations, and then the mature recommendations. And for the mature ones, he says all of them. He says Barrier, Berlin, Starburns Presents, Strangers in Paradise, World's Greatest Cartoonists. Which is pretty much all of the adult titles that they're going to have. So, are you going to grab Amazing Spider-Man and Avengers / Captain America?
Yes. Because Marvel.
Yes, you and Marvel. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I can't sit there and like bash you for Marvel, right? Because like, I am not a DC guy. Okay, I just like there's a couple of DC titles that I like, but I'm not into the DC universe at all. I like Batman, which we covered like 18 times. But Image is where it's at. You know, it's like I like those, and then these oddball. Well, Snagglepuss is DC, right?
Snagglepuss is DC. Technically, Sandman is DC, and anything under Vertigo is DC since that's their adult titles.
Yeah, well, what I like about Vertigo is it's not part of that DC universe. It's not like, Batman doesn't show up in Preacher, you know?
You can't say that too much anymore, considering who shows up in Dark Knight's Metal #1.
Oh, was that Constantine?
Dream.
Oh, Dream. I need to go back and reread that because I read that before I read any of the Sandman things. So when Dream showed up, I had no idea who the hell Dream was. I was like, just assumed just some other DC character. But and didn't I send you a thing of like, did Batman appear in like that first volume of Sandman too? Just very, very briefly, like one panel.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, but other than those two instances, like when you read the Sandman story, at least so far that I read, there is no Batman, there's no Flash, there's none of that other bullshit. It's just a story of like Dream and all these crazy, wacky, supernatural crap that goes on with that. And I love the story. I'm like really grateful to you that you convinced me to read Sandman because it's been a blast.
It took me long enough.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Now if you only read something that I recommend, like
Saga.
No.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is Marvel, right? You should have been recommending Hawkeye to me. And what was Matt Fraction's Hawkeye not just the best thing ever?
It was the best thing ever.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, that's what my shirt is. All his quotes. Oh, this looks bad, and hang on a sec.
Hold on a sec. And then Saga is just off the hook. It's I still say it's the hands down the best comic book today, maybe ever.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And Brian Vaughan, I want to say I saw that Brian Vaughan was writing
Barrier.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the one for Free Comic Book Day. That's
yes.
him. Yeah.
Yep, there it is. It's like I have to get that. In fact, I want to. I wonder if Jamie will set aside like all those for me. Uh, I want to go to her shop in Lawrenceville, like Galactic Quest, but there's like a line there. There's like a friggin' line out the door and down the sidewalk. So I'm tempted to like get up early and go to some other comic book shop where it's not advertising, like maybe Mr. Comics or something, just to grab some of those free ones. Uh,
Or do what I do and, volunteer.
Maybe I'll just give you my list and you can pick them up for me. Huh? Huh? I'll assume that's a yes.
Yeah, send me your list.
Yay. Just one of everything. No, two of everything.
Speaking of Brian K. Vaughan, have you read The Pride of Baghdad?
No, I have not. Tell me about The Pride of Baghdad.
Based on a true story about a pride of lions that escapes the Baghdad Zoo after the Americans bombed it. And it's very sad, but in true Brian K. Vaughan style, there's like sex everywhere.
I didn't notice that he writes sex everywhere.
There's a lot in Saga. Let's be honest.
It's well, he doesn't shy away from it. I think it's like integral to the relationship of Marco and Alana, right? Like when he shows them having sex, it's like that's when they're closest in their relationship. And then when he goes like issue after issue after issue where they're not intimate, I mean, they're kind of drifting apart from each other. So I think he uses it for story purposes and for character building.
Oh, this was just random page 2 lion sex, so.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, I can't defend that. Did you ever read Y: The Last Man?
I have not, no.
It's really good. I've got all the trades on those. Very thick trades. It's like 5 issues that covers 60 issues. So like each trade paperback is 20 issues.
Oh, wow.
Is that right? No, I did that math wrong. I'm bad at numbers and life and whatever. So whatever 60 divided by 5 is. That's 10, right? Yeah. 10 times 5 is 60, I'm pretty sure. Someone can fact check and leave something in the comments, if they
I was a social science major. I didn't need math. I learned to dig a square hole. That's what my degree got me.
So, but yeah, I should lend you those when you're like, all right, I'm caught up on everything. I want something new to dive into and just spend like a lot of time with. And it's a great story. It's definitely a like beginning, middle, and end to the story. There's like an end point from the very beginning. That there's an end point that this main character is going for. So it's not just like some long rambling thing like When I Talk. There's actually a point to it. And that it'll end someday, other than with my funeral.
I still think you would enjoy Secret Avengers.
I have Secret Avengers. Did I buy it or did you lend me? Oh, you lent me Occupy Avengers #2, right?
No, I gave that to you because
really
wasn't it. Yes, I was an idiot and I bought 2 copies. I bought one at Titan, forgetting that I already had it.
Oh wow! Oh, well, thank you. I've had things actually set aside. I've got like a pile of like things to read, and I got it like set aside so it didn't mix in with my comics.
I'm fairly certain I've said in messages quite a few times, do you want Occupy Avengers #2?
Well, I'm bad at life, and I'm more of a math guy. I'm not really good at like words and reading stuff and messages, so I thought I made that obvious about like 5 minutes ago. But
you did buy Secret Avengers #1.
I'll take your word on that.
I handed it to you and I said, hey, look, this is what I wanted you to read. I think that's when we were at Mr. Comics.
Yes, it was. Yeah, take a look there. I've got my list. If my phone will ever unlock. I don't think my phone trusts me.
I wouldn't trust you.
It's that's only because you know me. That's like sometimes I go into my phone. It's just like, no, I'm not. I'm not unlocking. It's not an old phone. It's a brand new Galaxy S32 or whatever the latest one is. Um, so what is this one called? Secret Avengers.
Yes.
Secret Avengers. Secret Avengers. Sacred Creatures Saga. Sacred Creatures. You really need to read Secret Creatures. Sacred Creatures. There's 6 issues out so far, and it's really good. It really is like along the lines of like the stuff that you like supernatural, almost like mythical crap going on in like modern day. You know what it reminds me of? That book that you gave me to read with that dude, with the detective, Harry Chapin. You know, the Harry Chapin Chronicles.
Dresden.
Yes, the Dresden Chronicles. It kind of reminds me of that. It really does. I think that you would enjoy it. But Saga, Sandman, Secret Avengers. Hey, I've got number 2 from volume 2 and number 1 from volume 3.
I don't know where you got number 2 from volume 2, but it's probably it's probably number 1 of volume 3. I know I handed you number 1.
Yeah, so this first camera at?
Yeah, I can't see that. It's the one
So it says volume 2. Let's pull up.
Is volume 3 issue 1 by Alice Coate.
By Alice Cooper.
No. That looks almost right, but I can't quite tell.
It's I really need a better camera. I really need like a good HD camera. I bet you I could find. I'm never going to try to find it. I'll just show you tomorrow at work. So yeah, I've got some Secret Avengers. So what else are you backed up on that you're trying to get through for reading to catch up on?
Well, let me see here. I've got those all in a pile right here. So I have this huge big Avengers thing.
Ooh.
It's huge. I've got.
What is the big, huge Avengers thing? Is that
Avengers
that
the
like
Initiative. So I'm not entirely certain. It's like the Complete Collection Volume 1.
So is it like the original Volume 1?
No, it's not original stuff. I saw some scrolls in there, so I don't know if it's Secret Wars or what.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got another Secret Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
This one has Moon Knight, who's Marvel's answer to Batman.
I'm going to yawn now.
I have got Marvel 1602.
No, what's that? Marvel 1602.
It's Neil Gaiman's take on an alternate Marvel where it takes place in the 1600s.
So like Superman, Superman, and who are other Marvel guys? Superman, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. They're all in like 1600s.
Sir Nicholas Fury, Peter Parker, Stephen Strange, Matt Murdock, Jean Grey. I'm guessing
Wait. Matt Murdock isn't Marvel. He's Netflix.
Daredevil's still Marvel.
It can't be both, Ash.
Ken.
Trying to fool me.
Both is good. Both is good.
I've been on the internet. I know what's going on. So you got a lot to read. What else you got there? You had a pretty big to read pile.
Hawkeye Volume 6, which is Jeff Lemire's run that came after Matt Fraction, which I don't like, but it's Hawkeye, so I'm gonna power through it.
It came after Matt Fraction?
Yes.
Volume 6?
Yeah, this is Hawkeye's. I think it's Volume 6. It's Hawkeye's is what it's called. Yeah.
The one with what's-her-face was Volume 5. And that's,
no, Fraction's run ended at Volume 4.
Yeah. Well, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye was volume 4.
Yes.
And then the series with what's her name? Like I can't remember her name now. What's her name?
Kate.
Kate. Yes, Kate. Leave me alone. I got the brain damage, right? So the one with Kate was volume 5.
Well,
I guess like running in sync with that.
This one is all new Hawkeye, and that's volume 5. So that came before volume 6.
Interesting. Because like on the comics app there, it's got the one with Kate as volume 5, and well, anyway, Matt Fraction is the only one worth reading anyway.
Jeff Lemire tries to keep up some of the same humor and everything, and like Kate's in this one too, and he's got Lucky, but I just can't stand anything he's written. His Moon Knight run, I don't like his Moon Knight run. So I'm only...
What is it that you don't like about his writing?
It just seems all over the place. It really does. That's pretty much it. It's just very... I like Matt Fraction stuff as an example because he's very good with getting his story told, and everything I've read by Lemire, either Hawkeye or Moon Knight, and I hear that I need to give him a chance with some other titles, but my hatred knows no bounds.
One of the things I have with other people writing Hawkeye is he's just a running joke. Everything that Hawkeye does and says is a joke. It's a caricature of Hawkeye, right? Oh, hey, we saw you eating out of the dumpster the other day, Hawkeye. Oh, yeah, that's me. Waka, waka, waka.
I liked that comic, though.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? It's like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye actually told like Hawkeye's just like this ordinary guy. The humor came from his character and the story as opposed to making him a running joke. Yeah, he's just an ordinary schlep.
He's a dumpster fire is what he is.
Yeah, he makes bad decisions. He knows he makes bad decisions. Shitty things happen to him. But at the end of the day, he stands up and he always does what's right, even though it doesn't pay off for him. And it's like, I love that. And like I said, all the humor that came from it was just all from the story and the character, as opposed to just what wacky thing would he say not to take anything at all seriously? Because the fact is, he does take stuff seriously in the book. And like when Kate walked out, like you could just feel the depression in his character, right? When they show him like laying on the couch watching TV, it's like you could just feel that he's just this ordinary guy who's just like down, right? But I can't find anyone else who writes Hawkeye like that. Everyone else just goes for Hawkeye as the punchline.
I believe you picked up Hawkeye versus Deadpool and haven't read it.
I may have. I don't know. I know I had it in my hand at one point. I have to check my bookshelf and see if I do. I have 800 of them. I'm exaggerating, of course. 790. 790.
Hawkeye versus Deadpool wasn't bad. Secret Avengers, he still has some humor, but they also address the fact that he plays dumb. He wants people to think he's stupid because that gives him an advantage.
Like, is he really playing dumb, or did they write him dumb?
Oh, no. Someone actually calls him on it. Maria Hill actually calls him on it. Like, she's sending people off on missions and whatnot, and the rest of the team is like, oh, we have to go with him. And she's like, no, I've got a special mission with him. And so after they leave, she's like, okay, cut the act. I know you're playing dumb. Just stop it. And he's like, oh, but I enjoy this.
I'll have to check it out. It's that's Secret Avengers, you say?
Yeah, by Alice Coates.
I'll have to look for that and try to pick it up sometime.
You have issue number 1.
When did I get that?
We just went through this.
I told you, I'm not a math guy. Tell me, as I scroll through things, what we need to talk about one day is like our favorite covers, our favorite comic book covers. I think that's something for like a future episode there, because I think like some of my favorites right now are a Shirtless Bear Fighter. Probably the best name for a comic book ever is Shirtless Bear Fighter, but it also has like one of the best covers of all time. Actually, several. Oh, I picked up Sex Criminals. I think I told or showed you that. I couldn't take it out of the envelope, but it was delivered to work.
You waved it in my face and then took off.
Giggity. So yeah, I need to read that. And Redneck, I'm like 6 issues behind on Redneck. Redlands, they did 1 through 6. I read the first issue, but I haven't read all the rest. I was waiting for them to kind of finish that up. Paper Girls, another Brian K. Vaughan title. I'm all caught up on that. Old Man Hawkeye. Speaking of Hawkeye,
Ugh.
I canceled my subscription to Old Man Hawkeye based on your recommendation. I've not read a single issue of it.
I'm going to keep it just to have him because it's Hawkeye, but I don't know what's going on. I never read Old Man Logan, and that is a direct spinoff, and you need to know what happened in Old Man Logan. I am just constantly texting a friend going, okay, can you explain what this whole scenario was? He's like, okay, here's the cliff notes. I'm like, that makes a little bit more sense, but there's still no context for me.
Yeah, I hate that. That's one of the things that I don't like about the Marvel universe and the DC universe. About like any of these books is, for the most part, you have to have like an understanding of 8 other titles to understand what's going on. Again, I read Batman, and Batman is very much standalone. They did do a crossover with the Flash, but you didn't have to understand anything going on in the Flash to understand the storyline, right? But I tried reading Spider-Man. So I picked up the Venom Incorporated Alpha and then Omega, and I read the first one of that, and then the first issue of Spider-Man that continued that story, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, so I picked up some of the issues before that, like maybe like 4 or 5 issues before that storyline, and it kept on referencing all these other storylines, and it was like, see this comic issue number 72, see this comic issue number 841, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to have to go out and like buy 900 issues of all these other titles to fucking understand one joke made in Spider-Man number 791, right? Like, I just want to be able to like have a starting point, read it, and just enjoy that comic without having to like, again, read like more titles.
Well, maybe they'll announce Spider-Man with this whole rebirth thing they're doing, relaunch.
Maybe, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to start mixing it with other titles, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm torn between starting to grab. I've got some of the titles from the relaunch on my pull list, but I don't have Iron Man, I don't have Captain America, and I don't have Thor. And it's like, if we're starting from scratch, essentially, because I hear Avengers number one retcons some things pretty hard. I kind of want to pick them up just so I have them in case questions arise, but at the same time, I don't really care enough about any of those characters. I did add Doctor Strange, I added Deadpool, and Avengers, and then Cosmic Ghost Rider, which is going to be like a 6-issue series.
Tell me, do you think this rebirth is going to help Marvel? Because I hear that like Marvel is in trouble, right? Like they have like a ton of titles that they have out there, and they discount them and everything like that to try to give some buoyancy to their sales, but they're still struggling. And part of it is because like the titles are a mess. They're like just all over the place and all that, which is the whole idea behind this relaunch. Do you think it's going to help them?
Well, I know with like Avengers, they said they had like 12 or 13 different Avengers titles out at one time, and they're gonna stop all those. So Avengers No Surrender, Occupy Avengers is not still going on, but all that, and they're gonna come out with one single issue or eight. Everything's combined into one title, and there will be 18 issues a year. So I think it would help because you're not having to keep up with 12 different stories, 12 different teams of adventures.
Yeah, that would be. Like, how do you even get involved with that stuff? I think that's like one of the most common questions of people coming into comics is, what do I start with? You know, it's like whenever I like talk to anyone about comics and they're like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. What do I start with reading? Because you go into a comic book store and it's just intimidating as hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I used to go with my friends to the comic book store back way back in the early 90s, and they were collecting just tons of titles. You know, they would have like 15, 20 titles that they were all collecting and reading, and I didn't even know where to begin with, right? And it's like there was nothing that I liked. I wasn't into like Batman or whatever else like enough to well, I'm going to try to start jumping in on this stuff. And it wound up being like Preacher. The cover of Preacher #1 caught my attention, so I bought that, and then I started like hunting stories like that. And when I got back into comics later in life, that's what I was looking for, was more titles like Preacher, right? Like these like just good stories. And that's what I love, is just like a good story. Give me some good characters and a good story that I can just pick up that title month after month and just enjoy the story, especially something that has an arc that's going somewhere. I like stories that have like a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
But I like some rambling stories too, like Saga. I mean, again, come back to Saga. Almost anything by Brian K. Vaughan. Although Y: The Last Man had a beginning, middle, and end. Preacher had like a definite set point where, you know, where they were hunting down God. So I mean, those are like the things that I look for. Nailbiter. Not sure if you read Nailbiter. I think that could have actually gone on a little bit longer. I think they had to like rush the end on that. But like I said, with like Marvel, your normal person going into a store who's like, oh, you know what? I saw the Captain America movie. I start reading the Captain America comic. That sounds like a good place to start. Something that you like, a character that you like. You go into the store and it's like, fucking A, Captain Marvel is like a bad guy, or except Captain Marvel, Captain America. He's like with Hydra, and then it's like, oh no, psych. Yeah, we were only playing around, and it's like how are people supposed to follow along with this shit and take it seriously, you know, or enjoy it?
Speaking of Captain America, let's not forget one of my favorite Captain America stories, Man vs. Wolf, where he is a werewolf for like 6 or 7 issues.
Oh my god, yeah, Cap Wolf. My daughter and I were just talking about that the other day, where she brought up Cap Wolf, and I'm like, it's just,
it is so cheesy, and I love it.
Well, if it's entertaining, that's one thing, right? But
it's like they're like, okay, how many canine related Marvel characters do we have? We're going to throw them all in a story, and then randomly Wolverine, because why not? That's sort of a dog, I guess.
yeah. I never thought of Wolverine as a dog, but the name is, I guess, that's related to canines, or it is some kind of canine. But
I mean, I think it's technically Wolverine's a weasel, but it's hilarious. It's a story I think people should read just because it is so over the top ridiculous.
I don't know. Sometimes things that are billed as over the top ridiculous wind up being just ridiculous.
It is, but it's hilarious.
I'm going to take your word on that one. I don't think I'm ever going to get around to Cap Wolf. Maybe if I'm disabled and you hate me, you can come visit me and like read it to me to where like I can't move, or.
You mean next time I try to kill you?
Yes. The next murder attempt, which hopefully will be as unsuccessful as the last one. Hopefully the next one won't hospitalize me either, because I still haven't recovered my PTO and I'm still paying that off. So thanks.
Are you going to pick up those DC crossovers coming up with like Hong Kong Phooey and Jabberjaw and?
I have historically always picked them up. I don't read them. I just pick them up and put them away. So I have like a Batman versus Elmer Fudd and Marvin the Martian versus the Martian, um, Bugs Bunny and Justice League, Wonder Woman and the Tasmanian Devil. I have all of those, but I have not even opened them.
I think I asked her to pull them all for me. Whether or not I read them is a different story. But it's, I know it's Aquaman and Jabberjaw. Let's see here. Oop. Aquaman and Jabberjaw, Super Sons and Dino Mutt. Black Lightning and Hong Kong Phooey. And then the Flash and Speed Buggy.
Well, I'll have to get the Flash and Speed Buggy for Brie, my daughter, because she loves her some Flash. As far as the rest of them, I don't know. I've been being a little bit more judicious with what I buy. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, I know you say, yeah, okay. And you're right. I'm probably going to wind up just picking them up anyway, but I don't know. You know how it goes. Like when I go in there, it's like that Hemingway book. First, it was that True at First Light. What's true at first light is usually a lie by lunchtime, and that's my comic book buying policy right there. It's I'm not going to buy anything else except what's on my pull list. I've only got 3 titles this week. Just going to go and get those, and then I wind up walking out with a stack of fucking books that I'm like, I'm not going to fucking read these.
And the Lion Cat and the Will figure.
I had to. It's. It was. I mean, wouldn't you have? It's like the San Diego Comic-Con release thing. Like each door has one. It's.
That you took from someone else.
Yes, and I regret not at all. I'm actually a little bit happy that I took it away from someone else. I'm not gonna lie. That was probably the best part, was that I stole it from someone else. I crushed someone else's dreams. They came in to pick up their shit, and Jamie was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened to it."
Oh, you're terrible.
Yeah, but I just somewhat there. She did say that she was going to be able to pull one from another store, get one from another store for that person. So, I'm not a total monster.
Well, what do you have coming out next week?
That is a good question here. So next week, actually, I have a decent number of titles coming out. This week, I only had 3, but next week, on the I had subscriptions when we want to just see pulled issues. So next week, we've got, just from my list, I'm not going to count any of my daughters here.
No, count Bree's too.
Okay, well, Bree has 3 titles. Actually, we'll say 2 titles: Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, and The Flash. And then from mine is Batman White Knight number 8, which I think includes the Batman White Knight series. Cal Exit number 3 is supposed to be out. Cal Exit goes like months between issues. I think actually between issue number 1 and 2, I think almost a full year went by.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like these guys are working on it in between a bunch of other projects, so it's more like a labor of love, I guess. So whether or not it'll actually be out next Wednesday, we'll see. Southern Bastards number 20. Glad to see Southern Bastards coming back. I'm behind on that by about 4 or 5 issues, though. I need to catch up on that. And I'm missing issue number 2. So if anyone's watching this and they have number 2 and it's like in great shape, and I'm meaning Southern Bastards number 2, just not number 2 in general, mail it to me at P.O. Box Eat Shit in Norcross, Georgia. Let's see. We said The Flash and Wicked and the Divine number 36.
I've got Domino number 2, Isola number 2, Justice League No Justice number 1, New Mutants Dead Souls number 3, Sleepless number 6, and Wickdiv.
Wickdiv. Tell me, did I hear you say Justice League?
Yes, you did.
I'm unfamiliar with Justice League. Which of the Marvel characters are part of that? Is that like an Avengers Assemble thing, or?
Well, Hawkeye has been a member of the Justice League, so
Actually, I did not know that.
Yeah, there was a crossover special, and he decided to stay in the alternate reality, and he's the only member of the Avengers who is also a member of the Justice League.
Interesting.
Yeah, the more you know.
The more you know. You heard it here first, kids. Are you asleep yet? So, yeah, maybe I'll pick up that. But actually, no, I'm not going to. It's like, which title?
Number 1, Brian, you have to have it.
Yeah, I might pick it up just for that. Like, seriously, I might just pick it up for that because I'm a number 1 whore. Partly to have the number 1s because the number 1s are worth so much. But most of the number 1s I actually read. Because I want to know if it's going to be good, it's but I do have if you could scroll through all of my comics, I guarantee you that I probably have like close to 100 number 1s that I have like no number 2s with.
You need to read Zola.
Yeah, I do. I have Zola. I just need to sit down and find the time to read it. Yeah, we need to coordinate so we have like some stuff to talk about this Sunday, and if you're going to be around this Sunday, and we should also talk about that movie, the Infinity Wars movie. It's not like we can spoil it for anyone or anything. But I think that whole discussion is going to be about like 2 minutes long. Because it's okay, there's a thing that lets you go back in time. So they're gonna go back in time and stop Thanos and
well, the discussion might not be. The Russos have said there is no time travel, so how are you going to fix things with that?
Well, the Russos lied because in the first movie there was time travel.
No, they said there's no time travel in the next one. But then again, they also said that Hawkeye was in this one, and
Yeah, I'm not buying anything that they say because I think half of that shit is just misinformation, and you have to do that when you make those kind of movies, right?
Well, I do have a theory how they can fix it without time travel, but we'll leave that for Sunday.
Yes, especially since all they're going to do is use that fucking green stone and go back in time. They already established it. That's what it's there for, and we know that Tony Stark and Captain America are both going to probably bite it.
And Thor, I think Hemsworth's contract is up too.
I don't know. I thought that he was going to join Guardians of the Galaxy now. I thought like him and Rocket were going to go across the universe and have adventures.
No, I think, the standard contract for them were 6 movies, and I think Avengers 4 would be 6 movies for Hemsworth as well, so.
He could always sign a new contract to go travel space.
He could, and he was like burnt out with the Thor movies after Dark World, and then they made Thor Ragnarok, and the whole, I guess Taika Waititi did such a good job with it, and he was much more of a fan of that. And he's like, yeah, I'll come back and do some more if they want to do some more, or if Taika does them. Which you need to watch.
Yeah, maybe. I have plenty of time, so yeah, definitely. I'll do that.
Plenty of time, yeah.
Yes. All I have is time. I don't have anything else going on in my life. But, all right, I think we should wrap it up on that horrible lie.
And on that bombshell.
Yes. So if anybody actually watched this and you get to this point, call a therapist. You need fucking help, or you've fallen and you broke your hip and you can't reach the remote on the TV and you got the YouTube app on and it's just going and going and going, and now you're looking to see if like anyone dropped a razor nearby so you could cut your wrists. Either way, we apologize. We apologize. And all right, Ash. Well, I will talk to you tomorrow, but we'll talk to all of our fans next Sunday.
All right.
All right. Good night.
Night.